It's Caitlin Clark.
Her basketball IQ, her court vision, you just can't say enough about it.
What's the WNBA gonna think? What are the fans gonna think? What are my teammates gonna think? Like, I immediately felt like I was letting everybody down.
Something I worry about. I think I just worry about, being in this moment, enjoying this moment, the people that I really care about, the people that I really love.
From WNBA superstar to sideline commentator, Sheryl Swoopes' fall from grace is a story of jealousy, silence, and the price of not adapting. Want to see how it all unfolded? Let's rewind and watch a legend lose her voice. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What could be more absurd than Clark's statistics? How Swoopes responded to them like a pressure cooker. The tension between Swoopes and Clark was rising. You believe you've witnessed uncomfortable sporting events. Await the news about the program that surprised viewers and caused a social media explosion. Swoopes initially attempted to act casual. She used to respond to questions about Clark with these courteous but somewhat indifferent answers.
Logo threes, it's her signature. That is the most Caitlin Clark way to win the game.
I had tried out for some previous USA basketball teams, got cut just, for whatever reason, wasn't good enough. The talent around me was better.
At the level you feel like all the praise, like that's the same level you'll feel all the hate. So I try to stay right in the middle.
She seemed to be making an effort to be respectful, but it was obvious that she wasn't sincere. Fans began to take note, but perhaps Swoopes was only exercising caution. Then came the part where everyone was furrowing their brows. In a particular game, Diamond DeShields heavily fouled Clark. The majority of folks now said, whoa, that was rough. However, Swoopes, she lunged to protect DeShields. People began to make the connections at that point. It was starting to become more than simply one remark. Hold on though, we're only getting started. Imagine this. While Swoopes is presenting a show, her co-host begins by congratulating Caitlin Clark on her Player of the Week victory. Normally, one would want to weigh in, right? Nope. Swoopes stopped talking. Not only for a few, not even for 10, but for 50 full seconds. You could almost feel the awkwardness through the TV. She could not even say anything, a commenter stated. It's ridiculous, really. And that's saying it mildly, believe me. It was like seeing a slow motion train disaster, only there was quiet as opposed to a catastrophe. After that, one would expect Swoopes would strive to make things right. Nah, she backed down even more. Swoopes always managed to change the topic or go really silent whenever Clark's name was mentioned. You could almost set your watch by it at this point. Mention Clark and watch Swoopes get all worked up. When social media discovered everything, it was like adding gasoline to a fire. You name it, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of them took off. Swoopes was accused of jealousy and told she couldn't handle the new girl on the street.
I'm gonna do my best. I mean, it's still really hard basketball, like playing at this level. Everybody's gonna be, competing really hard coming back from the break, obviously with playoffs on the line.
How much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them.
I think the biggest thing is just do me, have fun.
The majority of her followers didn't accept the defense offered by some, who said she was merely exercising caution. The most insane aspect? This was more than a fan feud or a Twitter beef. We are discussing a WNBA legend who appears to be at conflict with the current star in the league. It was awkward, yet you couldn't help but stare, like when your favorite aunt starts drama at a family get-together. Did you find the tacit treatment offensive? That only served as a warm-up. Swoopes was going to lay forth a revelation that would force the league to intervene. From being a WNBA legend to being snatched out of the air, how did she go? When Stephen A. Smith made the decision to confront Swoopes, everything began. He refused to accept her silence over Caitlin Clark. Known for his sharp observations, Smith bluntly criticized Swoopes for failing to give Clark her due credit. Things got extremely hot at that point. Consider this, Swoopes is discussing the Indiana Fever's roster during a broadcast. Now, one would imagine that she would mention Clark immediately away. Nope, not even Swoopes mentioned her. The crowd erupted, they were denouncing it as unprofessional, and asserting that Swoopes was allowing her personal life to interfere with her work. This is where things get really crazy though. This was no longer simply about Swoopes. The WNBA as a whole was heated. People began to question whether the turmoil would negatively impact the league's ratings and viewership. Really, consider this.
All the level you feel the praise, that's the level you're going to feel all the hate too. So you got to stay right in the middle.
But when I say mentally and emotionally draining, those are things that male athletes don't have to think about.
And sometimes I don't even realize how far away I am. Like, I watch it back on film and I'm like, wow, I should not shoot that shot.
One of the most well-known figures in women's basketball appears to be at conflict with the up-and-coming player that everyone is talking about. It does not seem good. The WNBA needed to take action. They were unable to do nothing but watch things happen. So what were they up to? Swoopes was removed from the broadcast of the Indiana Fever versus Dallas Wings game, and just like that, she was gone. When the league intervenes in that way, you know things are bad. It shocked everyone in the WNBA community. All of the analysts, players, and fans were chatting about it. Swoopes was being supported by some who said that she was entitled to express her opinions. She was being branded as conceited and envious by others. But let's take a moment to dissect this. Swoopes isn't your average pundit. She is a legend in her own right and a Hall of Famer. To have her removed from a broadcast, that is very significant. Like if Michael Jordan had been ejected from an NBA broadcast for failing to give LeBron his fair share. It is that large. Nor is it limited to Swoopes and Clark any longer. Many have serious concerns about the WNBA as a result of this entire affair. In the future, how will they respond to circumstances similar to these? What does this signify for the bonds between established athletes and up-and-coming talent? The league faces a difficult situation. They have to help their rising stars in addition to honoring their legends. It's like attempting to juggle blazing torches while maintaining equilibrium on a tightrope. Everything may fall apart with one incorrect move. However, do you know what makes this whole thing so crazy? It demonstrates the extent of the WNBA's expansion.
Well, the first thing is I feel like I know if it's going in right off my hand, and I think that just speaks to how much time I put in and how many shots I've taken.
Caitlin Clark unloads!
She's a senior. She's a senior, but I think her COVID year was last year.
They were like, do you want to come? I was like, sure. I never planned on going on stage. They're like, you got to come on stage. I'm like, I don't know about that. And they convinced me to do it.
Consider it. Would such a scandal have garnered as much attention a few years ago? Would the remarks made or not made by a pundit regarding a rookie have been that important to the public? Most likely not. This is where things become real. What transpires when a legend turns evil? The WNBA is still in its infancy, and Swoopes' altercation with Caitlin Clark goes beyond a simple dispute between two players to include a rewriting of the rules of respect in women's basketball. Ron Thulin and Nancy Lieberman will be the official broadcast crew for the Indiana Fever versus Dallas Wings game, with Siobhan Herden serving as the sideline reporter. Losing Swoopes is like to a neon sign that flashes drama. Fans are talking about it and finding it difficult to ignore. One would think that everyone would be in agreement, wouldn't you? False. The loss of Swoopes has caused a lightning bolt divide in the fan base. Some people are ardently supporting Swoopes, arguing that she has the right to voice her opinions. Freedom of speech, people! Exclaims each of them. On the other hand, some of her admirers have called her jealous and classless. It resembles a real-life Twitter conflict with actual repercussions. It's no longer simply about Swoopes and Clark in this whole mess. The WNBA is sweating bullets over it. Now imagine that you are the league. There are rising stars, there are legends, and now there is drama. How do you manage to please everyone? It's like the juggling while riding a unicycle. One misstep and everything falls apart. Everyone's main concern is how the WNBA would handle situations similar to this in the future. It's not as if they could herd all of their veterans into a room and threaten to treat the newcomers badly.
We've been doing like a lot of just little games. Like today we had a home run derby. Of course I won. But yeah, just like little fun competitions that, are outside of basketball where you can just kind of let loose and have fun.
I think the league is in a really good place right now. I think we're headed in the right direction, but I also think we have a long ways to go.
Any good shooter can really feel the ball off their hand like that. So I kind of know, and then sometimes I get ready to celebrate and fire up the crowd. And then the next time down.
However, they also can't ignore remarks. With everyone in the basketball world watching, it's a precarious walk. And let's discuss those interactions between established athletes and up-and-coming talent. Mentoring and passing the torch were the main priorities in the past. Right now, it's becoming more difficult. There's a lot of ego in between the veterans who feel threatened and the newcomers who are striving to establish themselves. It's like drama in high school, only with contracts worth millions of dollars at stake. However, you know what's absurd? We are learning some really important lessons from this whole situation. To begin with, good sportsmanship isn't limited to the court. It matters just as much whether you're holding a ball or a microphone. It took Swoopes some time to realize it, and there's the entire matter of adjusting to change. The WNBA is expanding and basketball is changing, so everyone needs to stay up to date, even myths, perhaps in particular, legends, since there is still more falling to do once you reach the summit. This issue with Swoopes, it serves as the league's equivalent of a wake-up call. Hey, times are changing, it says. Join the group or risk falling behind. It's not only for the players either, it is for everyone. Commentators, coaches, and everyone else. What's wild, you know? The WNBA might benefit from this turmoil after all. Hear me out. I know. All this focus, all these fervent supporters fighting one another. It demonstrates concern. They have a stake in it. These days, the WNBA is more than just a sideshow. It's pre-event material. What about Caitlin Clark? Without uttering a single word, she is at the center of everything. She's just having a blast, shattering records and elevating the game. She's doing while everyone else is talking. That is definitely next level stuff.